Hey, what's up?
Hey, Monty.
How's everybody doing?
Good to see you.
All right, good to see everybody. Back here in Indianapolis, so excited for a good week. Good to get our scouts together. Good to get our new coaching staff together, just all together as a group for the first time, be around each other. So always look forward to this week, get a lot out of it. I know a lot of you are going to, on top of your mind is our quarterback situation. So, here's what I would say is I've said before, I'd say all options are on the table for us, okay? We got Kyler, Jacoby, Keaton, all under contract. As it pertains to that position, as it pertains to every position on our team, we're going to look at every avenue to improve, and we're going to continue and go through our process with that. So, like I said, we're going to do that as we go through our roster building. We just have two of the bigger ones coming up here in free agency and the draft come up back to back, and excited to get on with that process. So, excited to see all you guys, and with that, I'll open it up to questions.
Monty, you have 20 days until you have to pay Kyler his roster bonus for 2027. How much closer right now are you to deciding what his future is going to be than you were last time we talked?
Yeah, I mean, I think those discussions go on daily, and I think there's not just Kyler. There's many of our players that have different structures of their contract that come up in that time frame, and so each one of those is an individual discussion, and those are going to continue here as we go forward and go into the free agency period, and that leads into the draft. And so those are discussions that are ongoing, and we'll continue to have them.
Hey, Monty, during the coaching search process, you talked to Anthony Campanile from the Jaguars. What kind of impression did he make on you guys?
Yeah, Anthony did a great job. He did a great job. Impressive guy. He's got a great future in this league. He's done it. He's been an impressive coach. Had a great year last year for the Jags. So it was great getting to know him, and he did a nice job for us.
Is your expectation to get a long-term deal done with Michael Wilson?
Listen, everybody's in different situations. Here's what I'd say about Michael. Michael had an outstanding year for us. He's a great person. He works, he leads, and he produced on the field. And so Michael's about everything we want our program to be about, and hopefully he's here for a long time.
Another guy who's up for an extension, Garrett Williams. How does his Achilles injury impact kind of those talks and how that goes?
I think with any player that's injured, their first and foremost is they got to get healthy. And so, Garrett's one of our guys who he's working hard. He's been in the facility every day. He's making good progress, and excited to get him to a point where he can get back on the field.
Along those lines with James Conner, how's he doing in terms of rehab, and kind of where do you see the running back room right now with everything it's been through?
Yeah. So, we've had some injuries in that room, and so we got some guys that are nicked up and really put those guys in the same bucket. I mean, those guys, they're in the facility, they're rehabbing, they're working hard. They're all at different stages of their recovery. That's true for JC, it's true for Trey Benson. Those guys are working hard, and when they're ready to get back out there on the grass, we'll have them out there.
In 2023, Rondale was an Arizona Cardinal. Obviously, he passed away this past weekend. Do you have any thoughts on what you remember of him as a player and how you're feeling about that today?
Yeah, just absolutely tragic situation. Just came off a great event out at the State Farm Stadium and found out about that news Saturday night, and it was a gut punch. I was only with Rondale for a year, and his competitiveness, how important football was to him, just how he lit up when he made plays. It's just very sad, and I know you just saw how the outpouring of our players. Some people knew him better than others. I had the benefit of being with him for a year, and so just a very, very, very tragic situation.
How do you stay in the track for him?
If you think about how teams support players with season-ending injuries, how can teams support players psychologically, not just physically, during the rehab process?
Yeah, I think, listen, mental health is as important or more important as physical health. And so, that's why the league, puts a lot of emphasis on that. That's why our organization has a lot of resources for players. Unfortunately, you just don't know. And so, just a very, very sad situation.
Monty, you said all options are on the table with the quarterback position. You were with the Tennessee Titans when they drafted Malik Willis. It's the talk here of the combine ahead of free agency. Your overall assessment of Malik as a player and a person?
Yeah, Johnny, you don't really want to get into, evaluations of specific players. Malik did a great job when he went in there for Green Bay this year. I was with Malik for a short time there in Tennessee, had a great college career coming out. He's one of the quarterbacks that's available. We'll evaluate all our options, and whether it's, free agency, the draft, just with that position, with every position, and we'll be prepared to do what's best for the team.
You said this time last year that you wanted to use free agency to make sure you didn't have any glaring needs going into the draft that you had to draft for. Does that philosophy change when you have the number 3 pick and might have a better idea of who's going to be available there for you?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think free agency is just another tool for roster building. It's a finite group of players in free agency. The only players that are available are the ones that are free agents, obviously, and so there's a market that goes along with that. I don't think that's ever a situation for agency where you want to rely on that to build your roster. It's really more of a supplement, and really, those two are kind of independent. What's available at the pick number 3? I mean, who knows if we're even going to be picking at number 3? We got a long time to go between now and then, but we're going to continue to build the roster as we see fit, and free agency will be a part of that.
How do you evaluate the strengths and weaknesses of this specific draft? And do you feel like some of the non-premium positions this year are maybe stronger than in years past?
Every draft is different. Some years it's strong at one position. Some it ebbs and flows. And so we're still I wouldn't say we're necessarily in the middle of the draft evaluation process, but we still got a lot to go here. 2 months. So a lot will change. We've done a lot of work. Our scouts have done a ton of work. Our board is set with where it is now. There'll be minor tweaks here as we go through the combine process, the pro day process. I wouldn't say that it necessarily changes a whole lot based on that, but the medicals will weigh in on that, and we'll get to a point. But every draft is different. Every draft, there's always strengths, weaknesses, and this year is certainly no different.
Last 3 years, you guys have had this process kind of dialed in the last 3 years. How do you incorporate Mike as far as interviewing and vetting prospects?
Yeah, absolutely, Bo. I mean, you get to, we have structures, processes in place that you get used to with one group, and now there's a bunch of new coaches that, it goes both ways. Like there's ways that I like to do things, and there's perspective that he brings in that I haven't seen. I haven't thought of that before, and so that's exciting. It brings something fresh to our process. I think Mike necessarily is not used to going to the combine, and so when I told him he was coming to the combine, he was like, "What's the combine?" So it's great to get him out here, and so that's great, and it's really getting everybody to speak the same language, whether that's talking about player evaluation, talking about what we're looking for in each position, talking about the types of players that we're looking for. It's just really getting us all on the same page and speak the same language. It doesn't mean we have to agree. In fact, we hope we don't always agree, and we push each other. And but that's a process that continues to go here as we go through this.
Monti, as you play in the hardest division in football, all 3 other teams making the playoffs this year. As you enter draft and free agency, are you looking more to build for the future or kind of win now, get guys that'll impact from day one?
Well, I think that's both. I think no matter where you are in your team's process, I mean, it's always a balance. Like we're always looking to be the most competitive that we can be this year, and there's always a long-term aspect to roster building as well. And so, hey, listen, we have a challenging division. We have the Super Bowl champs, we have the team that was playing to go to the Super Bowl, and we have a team that was in the final 8. So, listen, it's a meat grinder of division, but you know what? We wouldn't want it any other way. It's a challenge, and even outside of our division, there's no easy weeks. Like no matter who you play, it's hard to win a game in the National Football League, and that's the way it should be. That's why it's the most competitive league in the world. And so we're looking forward to the challenge, and we're anxious to go out there and prove ourselves and improve upon what we did last year.
I know that Josh Sweat had a good year, but overall, what did you feel like you got out of your edge guys, and what would you like to see improve there?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the same for all of our players. There was some good, there was some bad, there's some things that have to improve, and that's the same. You can say that for any of our guys. And so, Josh was great. Josh was as advertised, came in and was able to disrupt the quarterback on the edge. We always, there's all of our players would always say, they'd be the first to say, hey, there's some things I left out there, and it's our job to help them develop, put them in situations to succeed. And so that's true for our edge as it is for all positions across our team.
On the subject of high volume of injury.
Much out of Walter Nolan because of the injuries this year.
Thanks for reminding me.
What are your expectations expectations for him this second year?
Yeah, really excited about Walt's future. Walt ran into some tough luck for us there going into training camp and knocked him out going in. And guys, that's hard. That's hard for a rookie player to recover from. When you miss training camp, that developmental time, it's hard to recover from that. And to see him work himself back and be as frustrated as he was that he couldn't be out there because of a health issue, and then to see him come back and have the impact that he had when he came out, only to a couple games into it get nicked up again. And so, nobody was more frustrated than Walter. And Walter has done everything we've asked him to do. He's been great in our building with rehab and when he was practicing and when he was on the field. Like, we saw flashes of what Walter can be, and he's been in the facility every day since the season ended. He's going to have himself in a great position to help us out. We're really looking forward to Walt's future with us, and he's going to be a disruptive player for us for a long time.
Have you sat down with Kyler to talk about last year and kind of what he wants in the future going forward?
Yeah, I've always had a good dialogue with Kyler, and I'd say it wasn't up to what Kyler wanted. It wasn't up to what any of us wanted as a season as a whole. And so when you had the kind of year that we had, there's a lot of room for improvement. And so we got to find a way to do that, not only at that position, at all positions, but that's what we're all focused on, is getting better and moving forward.
On the subject of building your roster to win now, does your record as general manager change the urgency and the need to build a roster that can win in 2026?
No, we're 0-0 right now, Teo. So we're looking forward to next year. We're doing everything that we can to make 2026 a successful year, and that's how we're going to build this team. We're going to build it the right way. We're going to build it with both, like I said earlier, being competitive now and also the long-term outlook of the entire team.
A ton of injuries last year, Monti.
Changed in terms of building a team around a quarterback to best support them?
I'm sorry, repeat that?
How has your thinking changed around team building to best support a quarterback?
Well, I think, the quarterback is obviously an important position on the team, but he needs 10 other guys around him to do their jobs as well for him to operate, to be successful. And so, it's team building, like it's allocating resources. You can't, it's hard to be, it's hard to build everything like at the utmost level. You're going to dedicate resources one area and have to take back on another area, and that's just roster building in the NFL.
High volume of injuries last year. Any changes to the process or the staff, the training staff?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're looking at everything. We're our training staff, our strength and conditioning staff, how we train players, how we treat players. Last year was tough. It's tough when you acquire players and you try to build a team, and then those players that you're counting on for whatever reason, they're not out there. And that's there's two things that suck about life in the NFL. It's injuries and losing. And unfortunately, we suffered a lot of both last year. And so we got to find a way to overcome that. We got to find a way to put our players in a better position to take care of them, to train them so that they can remain on the field. And so that has been a huge emphasis of what we've been doing. And we're going to continue to look at that as we go into the offseason, how we're going to structure practice, how we're going to train when the players come back in April. And so that's been a huge emphasis for us.
Have you made any changes to that staff yet?
We're still working through that. Yeah, we're still working through that, and we'll have some clarity on that here soon.
Work out at the combine every year. How much does that impact your evaluation of them? Like, does it matter if they're working out now or later at their pro day?
Yes and no. It's for as long as I've been in this, there's been players that work out, players that don't. I like to fill in all the boxes when we can. I like to have the information as much as possible, but for whatever reason, there's going to be guys, whether it's injuries or choice or whatever, that are just not going to work out. And so, there's nothing I can really do about it. We'll deal with the information that we have, whether it's here at pro days, whatever it is, but it's nothing new, and we're used to it.
Folks have kind of snubbed their nose at this quarterback class. What's your assessment going into this 2026 class, and your assessment maybe taking a quarterback, not necessarily early, but later on?
Yeah, I think, I'm open for taking the best player at our pick, no matter what position it is. And so, whenever it's time for us to peel a name off the board, like, we're going to take the best player. And oftentimes that's not due to whatever position it is. It's because we think that's the best value at the position. And so, there's a lot of quarterbacks in this draft. We'll continue to evaluate them. This will be another step in that evaluation process. We're at a good spot in where we're at based on our scouts' fall reports, the All-Star game process. Some of the guys played down there. And so, that's another group that we got a couple months here of evaluation. We'll be ready to go on that position.
Do you take a lot of pride in your first pick being up for a multi-year extension, and how much urgency do you have to maybe lock up Paris?
Bo, say that one more time. Sorry.
You take a lot of pride in your first pick as general manager, being up for a big extension, obviously his fifth-year option, but how much urgency do you have to maybe lock in Paris for
Yeah, I mean, Paris he got through year 3, be going into year 4, so, excited about where Paris is at, just like all of our players, he's done some really good things, and there's some areas that I know Paris wants to improve at, and so that's the great thing about Paris is I know he's focused on that, and I know he's focused on ascending and continuing to ascend, and so, we got some decision points coming up with Paris here in terms of the 5th-year options. We'll be ready to make that decision here. We got till May to do that, but love what Paris brings to our team on the field, off the field, and want him to be a part of our program for a long time. So.